You check your account. The number is higher than yesterday. Not by much, but enough to make you pause a second longer than usual. Your finger moves before the thought fully forms. You press buy. For a moment, nothing happens. Then it moves. Up, clean, fast. You feel it immediately. Not as a thought, as a shift. Something tight in your chest loosens. You watch it climb. You don't move. Selling now would make it real, but small. And you didn't come here for small. So you stay. You let it run. You tell yourself you'll know when. The movement slows. It doesn't stop, just loses momentum. Then it turns. Not dramatically, just enough. Green fades. Numbers shrink. You lean forward a little. Still watching. Still not touching anything. Then it slips below your entry. Not by much. You tell yourself it's noise. You've seen this before. It pulls back. It breathes. That's what it does. You don't close. Not yet. It should come back. You give it more time. You wait through the next candle, then the next. You start checking more often. Refreshing, looking for signs. Anything that tells you this is still under control. It isn't. But you don't say that out loud. The loss gets deeper. Quietly. No drama, no warning. Just numbers shifting in a direction you don't like. You're still there. Still holding. Longer than you planned. Longer than you told yourself you would. At some point, the plan is gone. Only the position is left. And you. Watching it. You think this is trading. It isn't. You are new to this. Not in time. In movement. In how you behave when you're inside it. You open charts every day. Sometimes in the morning. Sometimes late at night. Sometimes just because you feel like something might be happening. You scroll. You zoom in. Zoom out. You look for something that makes sense. Something that lines up. You don't need a full explanation. You just need it to feel right. When it does, you enter. No hesitation. Because in that moment, it's clear. When it moves in your favor, you feel it instantly. That quiet confirmation. Like you saw something others didn't. When it moves against you, you don't react the same way. You wait. You give it room. You tell yourself it's too early. You hold longer than you said you would. Because closing means something. It means you were wrong. And that doesn't sit well. So you stay. You tell yourself the market moves in waves. That it pulls back before it goes. That patience separates beginners from people who understand what they're doing. You repeat that enough times, it starts to sound like truth. You believe you can see it. Not everything, but enough. Enough to stay in. Enough to justify the next decision. Enough to keep going. And you do. Again. And again. Enter. Watch it rise. Let it run. Don't close. Watch it fall. Wait. Hold. Sometimes add more. It starts to feel familiar. Not random. Structured. Like you're getting closer to something. Like you're almost there. And that's what keeps you in it. Because every loss doesn't break the pattern. It reinforces it. It gives you another reason to try again. Another adjustment to make. Another version of the same decision. And this is where it starts to shift. You don't see it yet. Not because it's hidden. Because nothing in you is looking for it. You think the issue is execution. You think if you refine that, it clicks. It doesn't. There's something missing. You can feel it, but you can't name it. And that absence feels a lot like clarity. You move through charts with confidence. You recognize setups faster now. You draw levels. You see patterns forming before they complete. You feel aligned. But everything you see, someone else has already seen. Every line you draw has already been drawn. Every pattern you wait for has already played out, more times than you realize. Every signal that feels clean is already expected. You are not early. You are not outside the crowd. You are right hence in the middle of it. And the moment you act, something completes. Not for you. For someone else. Your entry fills their exit. Your confidence gives them timing. Your hesitation gives them space. You think you're placing trades, but the way it actually works, you're being placed. The system doesn't react to you. It doesn't need to. It absorbs what you do. It doesn't punish mistakes. It runs on them. It doesn't reward belief. It feeds off it. You're not navigating something neutral. You're inside something that expects you to be wrong and has room prepared for it. And the system has levels. At the beginning, everything feels immediate. You act and something happens. You enter and it moves. That's enough. Just enough movement. Just enough confirmation. You feel sharp. Connected. Like you're picking it up quickly. But there's no control. You don't decide when to stop. You don't decide what matters. You follow what feels right. And what feels right is wrong more often than you can measure. So you move. Not because you figured it out, because you're tired of losing the same way. You start looking for structure. You collect ideas. You learn terms. You begin naming things. Support, resistance, trends. You start organizing what you see. And it feels different. More grounded. Like now there's something behind your decisions. You finally understand something. Or at least it feels like you do. But then something strange happens. The more you learn, the more everything starts to look tradable. Every chart has meaning. Every movement looks intentional. Every setup feels valid. You don't feel lost anymore. But you're not precise either. You don't lack knowledge. You lack filtration. And without it, everything turns into noise. So you move again. This time, the loss isn't small. It hits differently. Not just in your account. In you. There's a number that stays. You replay it. You think about it when you're not trading. It sits there. You realize something uncomfortable. You can be wrong at a level that matters. And confidence doesn't protect you. That's where it shifts. You stop playing. You start reacting. You want it back. You don't say it like that, but it's there. You want to fix it. Correct it. Balance it out. But the more you need that outcome, the less stable your decisions become. You're not trading anymore. You're protecting something. And protection doesn't follow logic. So you cut everything down. You remove what feels uncertain. You build rules. Entry. Exit. Risk. You write them down. You follow them. Not because you trust them. Because you don't trust yourself. At first it feels wrong. You cut losses too early. You watch moves continue without you. You feel like you're missing something. Like you're doing it wrong again. But you keep going. And slowly, something shifts. Not outside, inside. You stop needing to be right. You start needing to be consistent. And consistency doesn't look like success. It looks flat, repetitive. The same actions, the same boundaries, the same outcomes. Nothing stands out. No single trade feels important. And that's when something starts working. Quietly, without signal, without emotion. But it costs you something. You stop talking about it. Not because it's a secret, because it doesn't translate. People around you still see risk, still see randomness, still see something unstable. But to you, it's structure. You move differently now. You track everything. Not to feel in control, to stay within limits. You measure what you do. You adjust based on that. Not based on how you feel. Then the size changes. Not the system, the numbers. Losses feel heavier now, even if the percentage is the same. The number is different, and your body reacts to that. Your breathing changes. You hesitate longer. You double-check things you didn't question before. You realize something you didn't expect. Control doesn't scale with you. It has to be rebuilt. Again. And again? Until the numbers stop meaning anything. Until they flatten. Until a loss is just a number again. Not a moment. Not an event. Just data. And then something else opens up. You stop looking at patterns. You start noticing behavior. You see where entries feel too clean, too obvious, too aligned. You recognize them. Because you used to take them. You know what the other side is thinking. Because you thought Hest it. And now you don't follow it. You position around it. Your profit comes from their certainty, from their timing, from their need to be right. You're not reacting anymore. You're part of what moves things. And everything gets quieter. Not easier. Not better. Just quieter. You stop explaining what you do. Not because you can't. Because it doesn't land. The words don't carry what you see. And the higher you go, the less there is to say. Because there's less left to remove. At every level, something repeats. You start to notice it more clearly now. Not as a mistake, as a pattern that doesn't leave. At first, it looks like progress. You lose less often, you hesitate less, you recognize things earlier than before. It feels like movement, like something is improving. But when you step back and look at it without the noise, nothing really separates. The structure doesn't change. You still enter. You still wait. You still react. Only the reason changes. Before, it was instinct. Now, it's logic. Before, it was a feeling. Now, it's a rule. But the outcome doesn't move as far as it should. And that's the part you don't want to sit with. Because it means the change wasn't real. You adjusted the surface. You didn't remove the constraint. You replaced one limitation with another. And because it feels different, you accept it as progress. You learn more. You go deeper. You refine how you see things. But clarity doesn't follow. You just see more. And more doesn't always mean better. It just means louder. You take more trades. You stay more active. You tell yourself experience comes from exposure. But exposure without control just increases the chance of being wrong. You hold longer. You call it patience. You tell yourself you're letting the trade work. But time doesn't fix a bad position. It gives it space to grow against you. You start to see it. Slowly. Reluctantly. Everything you're doing feels like improvement. But every change comes with a cost you didn't calculate. More knowledge adds noise. More trades add risk. More time adds damage. You move forward, but something tight mimics around you. At every level, it repeats. You change something. You feel the shift. You trust it. You build around it. And eventually, it breaks. Then you move again. New approach, new framework, new logic. Same result. Not immediately, but over time. And that's what makes it harder to see. Because the illusion holds long enough to feel real. You're not stuck because you're failing. You're stuck because the system allows you to feel like you're not. And that feeling keeps you inside. It keeps you adjusting. It keeps you engaged. It keeps you trying to fix something that isn't broken in the way you think it is. The problem isn't what you're doing. It's where you're doing it. And as long as that doesn't change, nothing else will. And this is where most people stop moving forward. They don't quit. They stay. But they stay in the same place. They double down on effort. They push harder. More hours. More focus. More attention. They believe that intensity will close the gap. But effort doesn't create advantage here. It amplifies whatever structure you're already inside. If the structure is flawed, effort makes the outcome worse. Not better. You learn more. You stack ideas. You build layers of understanding. It feels sharp. It feels like you're finally seeing deeper. But every layer adds complexity. And complexity makes it harder to act clearly. You're not removing uncertainty. You're covering it. You become more disciplined. You follow rules tighter. You track everything. You control your impulses. And from the outside, it looks like progress. But if the system underneath is wrong, discipline just locks you into repetition. You execute better. But you execute the same mistake. Again. And again. There's no correction hiding inside this. No final adjustment. No missing insight wrist that suddenly makes everything work. Because the structure itself was never built to produce what you're trying to get from it. And once that lands, fully, there's nothing left to hold on to. No belief that still works. No method you can fix. No version of this path that leads somewhere different. You're not underperforming. You're aligned with something that produces loss. And it will continue to do that, no matter how well you execute it. At higher levels, things become simpler. Not easier. Just stripped down. You stop searching. You stop adding. You stop trying to improve the outcome directly. You focus on what stays. Risk. Exposure. Repetition. You don't look for better trades. You reduce the cost of being wrong. You don't chase movement. You control when you participate. The market doesn't change. It never did. Only your position inside it changes. You stop reacting to what you see. You operate inside limits that were decided before anything moved. There's no urgency anymore. No need to catch anything. No need to recover anything. You take what fits. You ignore what doesn't. And over time, nothing feels significant. No single trade stands out. No single outcome matters enough to shift anything. You move through it quietly. Not because you mastered it. Because you stopped trying to. Control doesn't come from being precise. It comes from removing what doesn't belong, from cutting away everything that interferes with the structure, from letting the system run without you forcing it. You don't win more. You lose less. And slowly, that becomes the difference. If you're still inside level 1, you already know what happens next. Subscribe if you want to see the system before it sees you.